All right, welcome back to another YouTube video, and this is the Ironman Arizona vlog. I am doing a documentary, so I'm gonna leave that to Connor. He's an absolute beast when it comes to editing and filming and putting together a storyline, and I'm so excited to share this with you guys. We did launch the trailer a while back, but this is going to be everything. The training, the half, the Muncie 70.3, and now officially just got done with my first ever Ironman Arizona. So this video is going to be more about me going over how I felt throughout the race, like a race recap, and then also sharing a little bit of iPhone clips. I started to vlog it, but then I kind of just didn't vlog it very much, and I figured, you know what, let's just wait for the entire race video when it comes out on the documentary. But I do want to give you guys a recap on how I felt kind of piece by piece on this race. So we'll start off with just running a few clips from when I got there. So we'll run those right now.
The time has come for me to do my Ironman. I've been training all year for this, and I'm very excited. I'm here at the airport. I'm about to board this flight, and I'm so happy you all have come on this journey with me. Just kidding.
Just kidding. I'm doing the Ironman. She ain't doing the Ironman. We're going to Phoenix. We're flying out of Tampa. It's official. I'm about to be an Ironman.
Let's go.
So we're a few days out. We're gonna start carb loading. We got some coffee. We got that blueberry muffin. We're getting all the things. So I'm just gonna share a little BTS of the whole weekend here, and then we're doing a legit documentary that'll be coming out. All right, at the Village, we got everything done. We got our bib, we got our tracker. We even got the bike all set up. If you don't care about spending a little bit of extra money, this is so convenient. And I did the exact same thing in Muncie. At the athlete check-in, you drop your bike off in the bag if you're traveling with it and you're flying with it. They build it out for you, and then obviously you take it after that. You go race with it, and then when you transition from the bike into the run, they are there to scoop up your bike, and then they start packing it out for you to where when you're done with the run, it's already done and packed. Other than having to go to like a bike shop and drive back and forth, and after the race, you got to bring it to the bike shop. It's just all done for you. So super convenient, but it was $450 for the unpacking, the packing. So I don't know what it would typically be at a bike shop, maybe like $100 to take, or $100 to put together and then $100 to take down and pack. So you're probably spending an extra $200. I don't know. You guys can, I think the bike shop that I go to in St. Pete was like $100. So there's obviously more, but I feel like the convenience is kind of worth that extra $100 to $200. So anyway, it's an option. But we are done. We're gonna go meet up with Luke and go grab some food. We are starving. I'm putting Gracie through the ringer today. She told me like 2 hours ago, like, I'm starving, we should get food. I'm like, well, yeah, maybe we should just go to the athlete check-in and, you know, get that done first. 2 hours later.
Controlling the hanger.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Here we are.
Here we
It's
are.
finally go time.
At the Village.
I can't believe it's happening.
As if you needed to buy a bike, you could just buy a bike here. But that'll cost you a lot of money. So that was basically my last clip from my vlog. I kind of didn't vlog anything the day before the race, race morning, even after. I was just so in the moment. And before the race, I was so stressed out. You know, when you put together a series, and I know I didn't like really talk about wanting to go sub 10 the entire time. I did announce it a couple times, but doing that does add a lot of pressure. And, you know, leading up into the race, and then especially race week, that pressure just starts to build. And I'm just like, man, you just start to think, or I personally start to think of everything that can kind of go wrong. And I do get a little bit, obviously I try to stay, you know, positive, but I've had a couple bad races to where I'm like, I really hope this doesn't happen, or this doesn't happen, or that doesn't happen. And I'm just glad it all went to plan. So pretty much, with a few things that definitely went a bit south, but I'll kind of run through the entire race, start to finish. So starting off in the swim, we got to the lineup way too late. So me, French, Luke, we were stuck in the way back, and we were trying to swim at different times. So like Luke was going to go to the hour group, like a 59-minute. I was going to go to 110, and then French was going to go around like 120 or something like that, or 125. And so when you start a swim in an Ironman or a half Ironman, you seed yourself by time, like in a marathon, so that you could swim with people that are the same pace as you. But they had it so narrow that it was so hard to get where you wanted to seed yourself. So we were stuck at like the 1 hour, 30-minute range. And that kind of put us pretty far back and made me a little bit worried, because when you're swimming with people your same speed, you can really kind of help each other out and draft off each other a little bit in the water and just not have to really go around anybody and create any sort of efficient maneuvering in the swim. So that stressed me out kind of right off the bat. But in the beginning, I saw some friends and family. My buddy Pete, shout out to Pete. He flew in from New York City to Arizona, didn't even tell me. And I saw him right before I started the swim, and I was like, dude, what are you doing here? Which was absolutely wild. So shout out to Pete for the support. I knew I woke up and fueled properly and got myself prepared for this race. So getting into the water, perfect temperature. Hopped in, had the wetsuit on. It was wetsuit legal, which was awesome. Different from my half, was not wetsuit legal, which, if you don't know, swimming in the wetsuit actually helps you swim faster. It makes you more buoyant, a little more hydrodynamic, and just makes swimming a little bit easier. But I hopped in, and honestly, I felt smooth from the start. I just remember thinking to myself during the swim, I was like, this is actually really nice. Like, I felt nice the whole time. The water was cool. It was refreshing. I was like, just telling myself over and over again, this is going to be the most relaxed and the most refreshed and the best you feel all day probably, so let's just enjoy it. So I just kind of swam by feel, nice and smooth, nice and easy. I didn't really overexert myself other than the moments of going around people. I pretty much swam in a straight line, kind of had to correct a couple times, but I was sighting. And halfway through, I was like, all right, I mean, this is a long swim, the longest singular swim I've ever done in my life, but I felt good the entire time. I didn't put it on my watch, so I didn't know what my time was, but I hopped out with the goal of 110, and I came out right at 104 something. And I usually hop out of swims like that, and I get really dizzy, but I hopped out, and I felt really good. Going to the transition, same thing. Saw friends, family. I was stoked, saying what's up to people. I was like really amped, in really good spirits. Going to the transition area, into the bike, all went smooth. Ripped the wetsuit off, put my stuff on, went out to the bike, transitioned out on the bike, all nice and smooth. Onto the bike. Goal here, 5 hours to 5 hours and 10 minutes. And I felt amazing on the bike, honestly. I felt really good for about 70 miles. Then things started getting a little bit tough. Also, my bike computer got loose, like the bracket on my bike computer got really loose, and ultimately just fell off. So I didn't know what power I was putting out. I didn't know what speed I was at, what my cadence was, any of that kind of stuff, which I really do like knowing that, considering I looked at it my entire training and never did any rides without a bike computer. But 70 miles in, you kind of are already in a groove. So it wasn't a massive deal, but it was a little weird not knowing what my power was. But my goal power was between 200 and 210. And I was, when my computer went gonzo, I was holding like 207 average. So I was right on pace of the top end of my goal power. So I was very happy with that. And then my last lap, Arizona is like a 3-loop lap. So, or a 3-loop course. And my last lap, I was like, okay, my legs are starting to fatigue. I was starting to feel a little bit beat up, and I was like, okay, just got to push through. When you get to mile 90, I was like, okay, just like, another 22 miles. We got this, but it's still like another hour of riding. But that last like 22 miles, it got a little bit tough. And then coming into your last lap, you either go right to finish, or, you know, for each loop you can make a left turn. And I was so out of it, and I was like looking down at something, or I just drank my bottle of water, and I took the left instead. And I remember looking around and I was like, I think I was supposed to go right or something. So then I had to turn around again and then go right and then hop off my bike. So that costed me probably like another minute-ish, because I turned and I was just confused. And then hopping off my bike, I was a little bit confused on where to go for some reason. So that cost me just a little bit of time. But overall, so stoked with the bike. The weird thing with the biking is you're constantly worried about, is my tire going to pop? Or is anything going to go wrong with my bike? Are my bottles going to fall out? There's so many different factors that are kind of running through your mind that you're just like, please do not go wrong, so I can just do my best here. And I'm just glad everything for the most part, other than the computer. The roads in Arizona were just extremely bumpy. So Luke had some major problems with his aero bars, and a lot of people had some bike issues because it was just insane how bumpy certain sections of this race were. But overall, a really fast bike course, and I genuinely enjoyed it. I thought it was awesome having it, you know, a 3-lap course. Then hopping off the bike into the run, I was feeling great. I hopped off the bike, I was feeling bouncy on my feet, threw my shoes on in the transition. I was like, I'm ready to hold a 7:45 pace all the way to the end. Also, back into the bike, hitting the bathroom. I probably peed my pants 7 times, something like at least twice every loop, I would say, at least twice, because you're just drinking so much water, so much electrolytes and carbs. I did 5 bottles of just full of G1M and electrolytes, and then I did 5 gels on the bike, and then just so much water. So I was staying extremely fueled and hydrated so I can come off the bike ready to run an entire marathon. So that was weird. I'm not gonna lie. It was the first time I ever peed my pants on the bike, and doing it like 7 times. I mean, my socks, mainly my left sock, was just completely drenched in my piss, which was a very, very weird feeling in the beginning, and then I kind of started getting used to it, but it was still just very, very odd. Going into the run, I also peed myself once on the run, and then things started going south. But before that, the first 6 miles, I felt incredible. I felt like I could hold the pace forever. My heart rate was staying low. I paced myself pretty good. It's hard that first mile to really pull yourself back, because I think I went out right off the rip. I was running like a 6:30, and I had to pull back. And then my first mile was like a 7:15, and then I started pulling it back into the 7:40, 7:45, 7:30 range. But right when I hit mile 6, I could feel my stomach start to go. And I personally take Imodium, so I do not have to go number 2 when I do races. Shout out to Luke for that tip. But this time I only took 1, where I think I've taken 2 in the past, but I just forgot how many I took. And I also just think either I drank some lake water, or my stomach just wasn't really processing all the electrolytes like it was used to. And this was obviously the longest workout I've ever done at that effort. So my stomach just turned at mile 6, and I could feel my stomach drop, and I knew it was going to be a liquidy situation. And I was like, can I hold this and get through this marathon? And I tried, to pass a couple porta potties, and then I was like, no, I need to stop. And I stopped the first one, and I was like, okay, that's all right. I just wasted about a minute, getting that done, but I'll be fine for the rest of the race. I'd hop out of the porta potty, boom, straight back in at like a 7:30 mile. About every few miles, I would have to go again. And this was constant. And sometimes I did not make it to the porta potties. I'm sorry if this is graphic, but this is just the reality of how it was and what I was dealing with. And I'd much rather, as I've blown up on marathons and had it be cramping and dehydration, this was a whole different situation. I'd much rather have this situation than be cramping, but it is still very uncomfortable because you're trying to run in which way that you don't go yourself. So it slows you down a bit, and then obviously having to stop completely for, a minute at a time for, let's say, probably six times. I didn't fully count, but I think it was around 6 times. I had to like stop and go to the bathroom and try to clean myself up, which was disgusting because you're all sweaty and toilet paper. It's a disaster, but a lot of people are dealing with it because obviously it's a long day. But it definitely cost me a few minutes. I'd say at least 6-7 minutes overall with the whole situation, at least. And then I wasn't able to really push as hard because I was like, well, now I'm losing some fluids. I'm losing some hydration and fueling. So am I going to blow up? Am I going to start cramping? Am I going to like run out of energy? So it kind of had me pull back a little bit more, and my legs started getting really heavy around like mile 20. But with that said, I was still moving pretty good. Whenever I would come out of the bathroom, I'd still felt pretty good. I kept my heart rate really, really low on the entire run. My run pace average was like 8:12, and my heart rate average was like 144. So I kept my heart rate really low because I just wanted to make sure I did not cramp and just keep myself moving the entire time without having to stop other than the bathroom situations. So overall, the run went well. I beat my swim goal. I beat my bike goal. My run goal, worst case scenario, I was hoping for a 3:30 top end, like between 3:15 and 3:30, but I went 3:36. So I lost about 6 minutes on the run, but the end goal was sub 10 hours. And honestly, in my head, going into this, based on my half performance, based on my power output, based on my swims and my runs, I was like, honestly, best case scenario, I think I'm a borderline sub 10 Ironman if I don't blow up. And I went 9:46, which I'm super proud of, especially since things didn't go 100%. So I think, on a really, really good day, I could be in the 9:30s. But with that said, a lot of things did go my way. Weather went my way, course went my way, racing with friends, having support at the race. It was an epic. I'm kind of bummed that no one else, going forward gets to experience Ironman Arizona because that course is epic and they are done with it. I guess this year was the last year and I didn't know that until I got there. But so pumped that I raced Arizona instead of Florida. I heard Florida was amazing too. The weather was great and I had some friends do it and they did insanely good. But the weather is a massive factor for me, and having that lower humidity and just that drier air, I think really helped me perform at a pretty good level. So that was it, man. I came through the finish line and Ironman people let Gracie in. I was so out of it mentally that I was just like, oh yeah, cool, Gracie's giving me the medal. Like, how did she get in here? I was just like, I didn't even think about it. I was just like, oh, that's awesome. Gracie's right there. And I just like, she put the medal on my neck. I gave her a big hug and I just started crying. And I was like on and off crying for like, I don't know, 10 to 20 minutes after I finished this race because it was just so like, it was such a relief to finally be done with such a race, with such a long race. And I remember when I did Leadville, it was a little bit longer, obviously, like 3 times as long. I crossed to like 29 hours and 33 minutes or something like that, or 32 minutes. And I remember just crossing and you're just like, I can't believe it's over. And I just get so emotional. I don't know. I don't cry that much, but for some reason, like in endurance, like ultra marathon, ultra type endurance races, I get emotional even throughout the race a little bit, and then definitely at the finish line. And also your mind just looks back at all the hours that I put in, all the swims I didn't want to do, all the bike rides that I didn't want to be on my bike for 4 or 5 hours, all the long runs I didn't want to do, but I did, came together in this one moment of me crossing the finish line for my first ever Ironman, hitting my goal time, and just being so proud of myself in that moment, just being like, oh, we did it, like we freaking did it. Like we had the goal. We started this journey about a year ago, didn't have a bike, haven't swam for years other than surfing and just whatever. And we put together a race that we were proud of and got to share it with friends and family. And then just the support was so epic. The BPN team coming out, documenting the whole thing, and just being there to support the whole race, rooting me on. Like, I love the BPN team. Like, it's so awesome working with brands in this space, but then it's like a whole nother level when you work with a brand that you could tell truly cares way more about you than however many sales you're making or whatever kind of investment financially than they have in you. They're just there and they're proud of you with the things you're doing. And I don't know, it's always awesome to be there with the BPN team. And I was just blessed to run this race with Luke, Nick, and French, and it was just epic doing my first one, and French doing his first one, who battled with some stomach issues as well, big time as well on the run. He had a solid swim, a good bike, and then he battled it out in the run because he had some issues too, but he was more so throwing up, which is probably worse than what I had going on. And then it was awesome racing with Nick. Very, very rare I get to race with Nick, and that was just so cool being there at the finish and just kind of embracing each other, like me, him, and Luke, and just like all just proud of ourselves. And we know that we just put in so much work and got it done on that day, and we were all stoked with the result. And then Luke, shout out to Luke. The Luke Hopkins effect is real. I mean, when I started this, he was one of the reasons I wanted to, do an Ironman. I mean, I've always wanted to do one ever since I ran my first marathon. People were like, oh, you should eventually do an Ironman. So it was always like on the list, but he really kind of fired me up. And when I started doing this journey and I started swimming and biking, he was my go-to guy for questions. And he always was willing to help me out. And he has had a rough go on his Ironman races. He's either had really tough courses or really, really tough weather, and hasn't had the showing that his work really is deserving of. And he came in almost like an hour PR. He went 9:17. I was chasing him down on the bike. We were really close to each other for the longest time. Even coming off the bike into the run, I was fairly close to him. And then things started going really south for me, and he had a really good marathon, so he put a big gap on me. But insane. So proud of him. He puts the work in. He deserves it. And he wasn't even going to race this race, and he just kind of popped up, didn't tell anybody, and was like, you know what, whatever, I'm going to do it instead of doing the 70.3 Worlds and going back overseas. And I'm sure he's freaking stoked he did, because he had an insane day all over, and even had some issues on the bike and stuff like that, like I said, with the aero bars. But shout out to Gracie. She was a huge support this entire prep and in the race, all of my races, always being there, rooting me on, updating you guys on IG throughout the race, posting stories, race updates, even in-feed posts, typing as me, and just incredible support every time I went by her. Just like, you got this, you got this. I was like, I shit my pants. She was like, that's okay, don't worry about it, you got this. Just the most supportive, best person I've ever met in my life. And I'm just so blessed to have her as my teammate in life. So shout out to you, Gracie. And yeah, shout out to everybody that supported along this journey. Shout out to you guys for watching along the journey. And I cannot wait to share the documentary with you guys. I know Connor's going to absolutely crush this edit, and I'm so pumped to see what he comes up with this edit. Shout out to the BPN team. Shout out to Roca for hooking me up with all the gear. Shout out to Head Wheels for hooking me up with my race wheel setup, and all the sponsors. Kane Footwear, the recovery shoe. I wore those before and after the race, and I wear them pretty much every day. As you guys know, it's like my #1 worn shoe ever. All my sponsors, Manly Supplements, Huckberry, whatever. Every single sponsor that helped me out along this journey of this becoming an Ironman series. And man, it's over. I'm an Ironman. I am an Ironman, and I'm happy with the result. I'm not going to continue to do a bunch of Ironmans. Honestly, maybe that let some people down, but this is just like a bucket list item for me. I just wanted to do this one, and I'm not saying I will never do one again. I do plan on doing some shorter distance races locally, but I do miss just running and lifting, and I felt like I've lost a lot of size and muscle and strength along this journey, and I miss lifting, but I really just wanted to put it all in for this prep and give myself the best chance of going sub 10. So I kind of backed off of lifting a little bit. And I'm going to do the last man standing for the BPN, going more ultra. So that's my next like big race endeavor. And I'd love to do a PR marathon next year as well. And just keep having fun. For me, these fitness endeavors, it's not about being the fastest ever marathoner, the best triathlete or Ironman, the strongest dude ever. I just like keeping fitness fun. And to be honest, towards the end of this Ironman prep, I was not having fun. I was burnt out. I didn't want to do my swim workouts, my bike workouts. I was just burnt out, to be honest. It's been a very, very long year, and I think it was a learning experience that next time I do a prep, I'm going to stay fit, but I'm going to do like a 16-week prep. I'm not going to train for something an entire year because I had some sections of being pretty burnt out, and it just got not so fun, at times. But it's not always going to be fun. Things are going to get hard, and that was also something that I learned a lot from this prep, is that it's all about perspective. And now, coming off of this was the most I've ever worked out time-wise in my entire life. So now going back into marathon prep and lifting, I can always look back at this and be like, well, at least I'm not doing 6 hours of cardio today, and I just have an hour or 2 hour run and an hour lift, and that's like max on the day. So, many, many more races to come, and I don't know exactly. I just need some time to kind of rest and think and figure out, other than these couple races that I'm thinking of right now, on what I want to do physically. But I just like keeping it fun. I like sharing the journey with you guys. So, there will be races for the rest of my life probably. So I'll keep doing that. And then I'm back on call today, so maybe we'll fly here in a little bit. And I don't know, I'm probably missing some stuff, but I just want to say thank you guys so much for all the support on this becoming an Ironman journey. And if you've watched this video this far, thank you so much. And all the links down below help. If you want to become an airline pilot, check out my ebook, Becoming an Airline Pilot. Check out Melbourne Flight Training, the school I went to for all my training and flight instructing and time building all the way to the airlines. And BPN supplements, code JOEM. Man, blessed. Blessed to be living this life and being able to share the journey with you guys. I appreciate you. And I will see you on the next one and for the doc. So keep looking out for that. And that's it. Peace.